Well, as always, appreciate you guys taking the time, even on a Thanksgiving week, to be here, and appreciate you guys working with us on our practice schedule. But just want to start off, guys, just so proud of this team, so proud of our seniors, our staff. I mean, we talked after the game, but just in a week where there was a lot of uncertainty, there was a lot of reasons to not be focused. Our players, our staff did a great job. Focus on, okay, what can we control? And I talked to the team last week about 2 weeks. They did that. And now we're at the point where yesterday I said, hey, guys, we got one more week. That's all we can control right now. We got one more week. And if we handle business this week on Friday, then we'll be blessed with another one. So, but hats off to our staff, hats off to our players. It was an emotional game for everyone at the end of that game just because of how much this team has been through. And at the end of that game, it brings tears to my eyes even thinking about it at this point because of how much these players have been through, how much work they put in, how much the staff is, the work they've put in, and to be able to have that moment together. I love these kids dearly. It was just awesome for them to have that. So I'm very proud. Obviously, still some things with the game we're excited to clean up, but proud of our team.
Coach, when you go back and look at the game, when you go back and look at the game film, the offensive line played maybe one of its best games of the season. In particular, Curran and Randolph on the inside were just creating huge holes to run through. What have you seen out of that unit this year?
Man, you talk about a group that imposes their will on a defense. That's our offensive line. And Coach Keene has done a great job with them all year. And not only in the run game, they do a really good job in pass protection as well. But you talk about a group that, we rushed for over 350 yards. We're talking about record-breaking day. Two backs that did a great job, that Ashton Genty and George Solani get a lot of credit, and they deserve it. But our offensive line, that's a position where you don't get a lot of praise, but they deserve all of it. A group that shows up to work every day. They were on that field earlier today grinding it out. That's the group they are. And not only on the field, that group leads this team as well because you know what you're going to expect from every day. They're going to show up. They're going to be ready to work. And that group single-handedly just was able to take over that game and create, to your point, rushing lanes for our backs. And obviously they capitalized in it. But I would be remiss to not give a huge shout-out to our offensive line, to Coach Keene, to Coach Potter on the run game plan, to Coach Hamdan on the full offensive plan in general, because it really came together and didn't start out great. That's what I'm really proud of, even our team. We're down 10-0 in the game, but stuck with it, kept swinging, stuck to the plan, and little by little it happened for us. And obviously that big run by George Halani really broke it open for us. And but just so proud of our O-line, our offensive staff, and how they were able to get that done.
Curran's a veteran guy. He's played 3 positions on the line this year. Is he a guy that you've seen take ownership of that leadership role on that line?
Yes, and not only just that line, but our team. And that's the thing, Cade Beresford, yes, he is a big-time leader in that offensive line room, but it's not just in that offensive line room. He's a big leader on this team. Ben Dooley, same. And not only, once again, as a true leader, not just in what they're saying, what their actions and how they match that with how they prep, how they train, so they can play at the level they're playing in these games. And we're going to need, obviously, another big-time week from them this week.
On the 9 sacks Saturday night, and kind of how you're telling the defense just to play aggressive out there. Watching them on the tape, just what were they doing to get to the quarterback? Was it just that aggressiveness, or were there better techniques? Or
yeah, once again, so proud of Coach Shenander, Coach Frazier. The plan we put together was a good one. But it was about our players being on the attack. Like we talked about after the game, there's multiple times where it's a 3-man rush call and a Braxton Feely finds a way to beat a double team to get to the quarterback to create pressure. And there was a lot of other times in that game that maybe it didn't come up into sacks, but we were able to create pressure to the quarterback's face and ball thrown away, or that quarterback now is looking at the pressure and is not worried about the coverage and what's going on behind him. So from just them being on the attack, them executing at a high level. Once again, not perfect. There was a couple 3rd and longs where we did let the quarterback out, which is something that we've really worked on this year. But just proud of our guys who they just stayed in it. They stayed on the attack, and they did it consistently throughout the game. And then when you look at the stats after the game, you're like, yeah, that 9 sacks, I can see that. And our guys, and just the group we have, they're more frustrated about maybe the ones that they didn't get than the ones they did. But I'm just so proud of the attack mindset they had, and I really think we can build on it going forward.
I think was that Braxton Feely's most disruptive game of his
Yes,
college career?
It 100% was. And once again, not just in the stat line, but I'm talking, there's multiple times where there's a play I can think of where DJ Schramm got a TFL, but Braxton Feely at one point had 4 blockers on him. right? He's not going to get any stat for that in the stat line, but it's a huge part of playing D-line, and that's the sacrificial and humility he plays with. And so him being able to get the production he got, 2 forced fumbles, sacks, TFLs, he deserves that. But a lot of stuff you don't see even to this point, like I said, TFL for DJ Schramm, but you don't notice number 90 with 4 guys on him because he's fighting his tail off for his brothers. That's the humility that he has, and for him to be able to get the production, just so proud of him, and just proud of that whole front. Mike Callahan, Herbert Gum, they were on the attack, and we knew going into that game how big of a deal it was going to be in some of these fronts because of the space that Utah State used. We'd have to be in some certain fronts that would put more stress on those interior D linemen, and they didn't bat an eye. From the start of the week to the end, they knew, Coach, I know this is what my team needs. I promise you I'm going to get this done, and they did it at a high level.
Interior D linemen have kind of been like the selfless role most of the season. But
Yeah.
What did allow Braxton to get that actual production this time around?
First off, just the intensity he played with. He was relentless all night. Coach Chin's has done a great job with him growing him throughout the season. But there's multiple plays on film, and I'm thinking of a couple in my mind where he's on the complete backside of the play on the first forced fumble, and he gets off a block, and there is no change of speed. There's no, I wonder if someone's going to make the tackle. It is a 40-yard dash. That ball cuts back, and boom, he hits that ball. That ball is on the ground, and that's the mentality he played with throughout the game, and that's the mentality the majority of our guys played with throughout the game. So it was not perfect. We're down 10-0. There's still some plays that we didn't fit right. But when you play relentless, you play together, good things are going to happen. That doesn't always mean that the score is going to be what it was on Saturday, but more times than not, you're going to be able to continue to stay in games and be on the attack. And from that creates sacks, creates takeaways, which is a huge part of playing defense.
Everything that's happened this season, Spencer, for you guys still be in the Mountain West race, what's that kind of say? Did you ever think it was going to be possible with all the ups and downs, and what's it feeling to kind of, be on the verge of maybe playing for a Mountain West title?
No, that's the beautiful part about college football. Every week is a new week, and especially like we've talked about, even prior to the New Mexico game, no one really knew that, okay, there would even be this chance. But we were just focused on, we're going to finish this for our seniors, we're going to finish this together. And then obviously a week goes by, and now all of a sudden you're pretty much win this game on Friday, and you get a shot to go play in the championship game. And that was just the message to our team yesterday in our team meeting is we still have got such an amazing chance. 2023 football is not, like, our story hasn't been written yet. It's not finished. This group of seniors, there's not going to be an asterisk by their name, or that's the year that they went through this. Their head coach got let go, blah, blah, blah. No, there's still time for this group of seniors who have done so much for this place to write their story. And what that exactly looks like, no one knows at this point. But it's just, in this game of football, just giving yourself an opportunity, week 12 of the season, to play in a championship game, that's all you could ask for. And that's what my talk to the team was yesterday. That's all we wanted was an opportunity. We got one. It's Friday at 2 o'clock with all the marbles, same for Air Force, and we can't wait.
You guys had a pretty short flight back from Utah, but was there any scoreboard watching? Did someone have the game on their phone or something?
Oh yeah, there was. Oh yeah, there was. We landed back in Boise, and everybody pulled their phones out. It was, and no one really moved from after we landed because I think it was like 4 or 5 minutes left in the game, and we definitely stayed there and checked the score of that game. But that's, it's college football. Every week's a new week. It doesn't matter what you're ranked. Are you playing at home? What have you done to that point? It's a new week, and so we definitely were watching that Fresno, New Mexico game. I promise you that.
What allowed this team to keep the belief? What's it about this team that, just kept believing after everything?
We got a great group of seniors. We got a great group of kids. And this group believes in each other. And they love each other. And that, once again, doesn't mean it's perfect, but they love each other. They love practicing for each other. And that is the biggest part. Things have not always gone our way this year, but this past week, going through it with them, there was not one hesitation on practice, work. Yeah, there's a lot of uncertainty. There's a lot of uncertainty for coaches and players and what's next, what's happening. But our guys didn't bat an eye. And that's why, it's all them. Hats off to them and how they operated last week, how they were yesterday. It's a short week. We got back at midnight on Saturday. We had practice today on Monday. And once again, same thing. Our guys brought the juice. They brought the energy because they love each other. They care about each other, and they're doing it with a smile on their face. And we got a coaching staff that loves their players as well. And I think that together doesn't mean that everything's ever going to be perfect, but I believe when you put your head down and work and you do it for the guy next to you, good things happen.
How impressive has Ahmed been with his journey to get here, and then just the production, his rise he's had this season, a sack in the last 7 games?
He deserves all the recognition he's getting. Because even early on in the season, when he maybe wasn't getting some of the production he is now, Ahmed was still a violent force for our defense. Once again, playing the run consistently, taking on double teams, maybe not getting to the quarterback, but still creating pressure to the quarterback. And so now, as he's worked his tail off week in and week out, him to continue to get some of this production, especially early on, and I don't know where he ranks in sacks, but he's getting up there. He deserves every bit of it because he's a guy that is humble and hungry. He loves his teammates. And the only thing Ahmed wants is what's best for his teammates. And that's uncommon in college football, is all he wants to do is, Coach, I want to do my job for my brothers next to me. I want to do it for the staff. And he literally will say that, like, Coach, whatever you need, I'm your guy. And so him to be able to get the production he's gotten recently, he deserves it. He deserves every bit of it. And I'm excited for him to continue to grow and even be better because the sky's the limit for that young man.
Chance to catch up with his brother Corey. I know you guys played together back in the day.
We talked a couple weeks ago. We'll kind of text back and forth throughout the season, especially with Corey having moved out here. I mean, you talk about just a great overall person that loves his brother, loves football, and is just a great influence in his life. And he's impacted me, even when we played together in college to now. He's a huge impact in my life. And so I know he's fired up. We text a little bit after the game, just being able to live that moment because he's a part of this too. That's the thing. This isn't just about the players or the coaches. It's also about this community. This community loves their football team. And I go back to New Mexico. We're 4-5. We're on the blue. That place was packed out because this place loves their football team. They love their team. They love these kids. No different for us. And so that's the part of it that just endears you to this place. And I know it does for our players too, where especially this Friday at 2 o'clock, we're playing the blue. It's different when you play in the blue. We're playing at home. We're playing in front of our family, not just a group of fans. We're playing in front of our family, and it matters to us.
Kind of an odd question, but I mean, are you going to worry about margin of victory with the computer rankings and all that stuff? Is that something that could come into play? Because depending on what happens Saturday, I mean, anything could help.
Our number one focus: win the football game. I mean, if it's by half a point, we'll figure it out. You know what I mean? That's just, at the end of the day, just like we've done to get to this point, it's all about 1 week at a time, 1 day at a time. And to the same point that we had yesterday, is like, guys, 2 weeks ago I asked for 2 weeks, or excuse me, a week ago I asked for 2 weeks. Now I'm asking for one more. And whatever happens Friday at this game, we'll cross whatever bridge is waiting for us at the end of it. And at this point, that's what we got. Same for the coaches. Guys, let's have our best Monday. And tomorrow, when we wake up, let's have a smile on our face. Let's have our best Tuesday. And we'll let the rest of it take care of itself. Our focus is Air Force. We know who they are. We've played them. We know how well coached they are on all facets. I mean, prior to them getting beat by Army and Hawaii, I mean, they were one of the top football teams in the entire country. And they've been banged up. We know they're going to get their guys back for our game, so we know the test at hand. And our goal is to go play together and play fast, going to play smart, and find a way to win the football game.
Right now, you're serving as interim head coach, you're the defensive coordinator, and you're also a position coach. What was the biggest? I mean, it went pretty good, obviously, but what was the biggest challenge of wearing all those hats on game day? Because obviously, you got a lot to worry about as a head coach.
Yeah.
But you also got to call all the plays from the sideline for the defense. Mm-hmm. So, what was the biggest challenge there, or what went well about it? I guess.
Yeah.
Either way you want to respond to that.
I mean, first off, just hats off to our defensive staff, because even going into the week, a huge emphasis for me is like, guys, I need to be around our players. I cannot be stuck in the film room going through a ton of stuff. I have to make sure I have a lot of awareness of what this thing is, but them laying the groundwork, ideas on calls, how to use situations, put our players, and they did a phenomenal job. So, and then I'd meet with them, hey, what do we like, what do we not like? And they did a great job with that throughout the whole week. And so in game, going through it, we operated great together. Wasn't perfect, but great conversations. Hey guys, I'm thinking this on this D&D, thinking of coming back to this. Yeah, Spence, I think this is good. And just working together was what I was so proud of our staff. Wasn't perfect, but working together was everything. Because I told them, I was like, guys, once that defense comes off, I'm going to have a couple words for you guys to hit them on. But then I'm going to go find these offensive guys. And I don't know some of these plays we're running, but I'm going to go bring some juice, build some confidence, because that matters to me. And I want our guys on all three phases, when they walk on that field, they know that their coach loves them and they has full confidence in them to go cut it loose.
you know, whether it be today, tomorrow, whenever, in your career in the future, an interim, you know, tag is removed or whatever, and you're, as a head coach, what is your philosophy? Is it to delegate to your assistants and let them do their thing? I mean, micromanaging, like, how do you kind of view that?
Yeah, for me, Jay, and I'm not saying this is right, wrong, or indifferent. Knowing myself, being the head coach, I would hire a really good defensive coordinator, offensive coordinator, special teams coordinator, and obviously give them parameters of what I desire and what I feel called in regards to these schemes, and then let them go do it. Hire good coaches. Trust them. Empower them. Build confidence in them. Build confidence in the players. Build confidence in the staff, and let them go do their job. And then when things need to get changed or something's maybe that you don't like, have a conversation. Let's work to get it fixed, because it's all about the players you coach. And not only the scheme you're teaching them, at the end of the day, you're teaching them about life. And at some point, I'm going to stand before the good Lord, and I'm going to answer for all the players that I've impacted. And I think about that. I tell our kids all the time, like, there's a scripture verse, to whom much is given, much is required. I think about that. Because all these kids, it's not about now, 20 years from now, how they are as a dad, how they are as a father, how they are in this community. Like, at the end of the day, that's why I do this. And so football is a phenomenal vehicle to teach you how to work hard, fail, learn from it, grow, keep pushing. And so as a head coach, that would be my number one goal, is putting great mentors in these young men's life. Obviously, to get here, you got to be great at what you do. Clear and concise communicator, on point with the schemes. But at the end of the day, you got to love these kids, and that's got to be the number one reason you do this. Or me and you just won't work, because that's all it is for me.
You made some changes last week, Spence. Guys had more time to recover. Guys had more time with their family. You even changed the seating arrangements on the plane. What specifically led you to make those changes?
I think just the biggest thing, guys, is the focus was for our guys to play fast. So they need to be fresh. We need to get them their sleep. We need to get recovery. And I wanted those guys, I wanted to make sure that when our guys came back in the mornings to practice, to lift, to go to meetings, that they were fired up to be here. Because obviously, a lot had happened prior to practice last week. There's a lot of things. Their families were hitting them up, me up. There was just a lot of things pulling at our kids. And so I made it very clear to them, and I met with the leadership group. We looked at the whole schedule and how we can do this together. Because that was my biggest thing, guys. This isn't about me. This is about us. This is us being all on the same page and knowing that, hey, if we cut down things, when we do have practice, when we have Indy, when we have these team reps, we're not going to get a lot of them. So we got to be on point with our alignments, our fits, because once it's done, what's done, we're out, we're in recovery. And so every rep you get, you know it matters. And then when you come back the next day, come in here with a smile on your face. That's the biggest thing. When you come in here, be excited. Your coach will be excited to see you. And then whatever we didn't do well the next day, we'll get it fixed. With the point of emphasis being playing fast and playing together. And that was the biggest part. And honestly, I got to give a shout out to Charlotte. She's the one that brought up the players changing their seats in the plane. And she came up to me and was like, what are your thoughts on the players sitting in the front of the plane? I said, absolutely. Because once again, it ain't about us. It's about our kids. And I think is it a huge deal? Maybe not. At the end of the day, we're all still getting to the same place. But I just want our guys to know that's how we see you. It's all about you. And I think it mattered to them.
Senior night, couple of seniors, I mean, George and DJ, what can you say about those two and what they've both have kind of been through trying, senior years with injuries and stuff? What can you say about those two and talk about each of them and what they've meant to the program?
Yeah, I mean, starting out with DJ Schramm, I mean, you guys, words can't describe my thoughts on DJ. You talk about there is a play in the game where he gets hit on his shoulder that he's working through, that he's fighting through, and he doesn't take himself out. I obviously didn't see it in the game. And the next play, he's able to make a sack on a third down with essentially one arm, right? That's DJ. Doesn't ask for any recognition for it. He is that young man, and his best life is in front of him when he leaves Boise State, because he's going to be a world changer, whatever God has for him. And that's what he's given to me. He impacts me every single day. He impacts his teammates every single day. And so with his time coming to a close here at Boise State, he's leaving this place way better than he found it. And that, as a senior and as a young man like DJ Schramm, he has the respect of this entire building and this entire community forever, and he deserves it because of what he's done when no one's looking. What he's doing when maybe people don't even know his name 3 years ago. He's still working. He's treating people right. He's taking care of his teammates. And so it will be extremely emotional for me with all these seniors, because the beautiful part of being here for the time I have, I remember recruiting all these guys, offense or defense. I remember them on official visits, being there for them, seeing their families when they're still trying to figure out life. And and then to this point, like we talked about Ben Dooley. Like, I remember when Ben Dooley was here at a football camp on the Blue, working his tail off to get a scholarship. Now he's a senior. So you look at these guys. George Halani, another one. Coming out of St. John Bosco, had, a lot of different opportunities to go different places. And I'll never forget when he called and said, I'm coming to Boise State. And we're all like, awesome. Like, look, let's go. But he's that young man that he knew this was the place for him. And regardless of the other offers he had, he's like, that's home for me. And obviously, the rest speaks for itself. His true freshman year, he's one of the leading rushers in our conference. And once again, a guy that's humble and hungry, comes to work. He's going into his senior year with all the accolades in the world. He gets banged up, misses half the season, still working his tail off, supporting his teammates, still watching extra film with the running backs, even all the while knowing he's not playing in that game. And he just works his tail off, keeps his head down. And him to come back, do what he's doing right now, he deserves every bit of it. And that's just who he is as a person. And that's just to talk about a couple. And that's the part about these kids, guys, that we could all go hang out at a coffee shop and we could talk. 'Cause that's just who these guys are. Like, they put so much into this place, and they deserve all of it.
Senior day, how will it play out? How many guys are going to walk? I mean, I know with the COVID seniors and guys potentially with eligibility down the road. Do you know how it's going to play out yet? And what will your role be on senior day?
Good question, Jay. I'm still kind of working through. I know I'm going to be out there with the guys. But for how we've handled it to this point is, if you're unsure, we're going to go handle senior night. Because the last thing we would ever want is if you have the extra COVID year, and you're not sure what you're going to do, let's do senior night the right way. You deserve that memory. You deserve that memory with your family. You deserve that memory with your teammates. But there will be a couple guys that I'm sure will meet with us this week that are like, Coach, I'm for sure coming back. And then at that point, we won't have to do it. So we're going to work through that as a staff just to figure out exactly who it is. And if it's everybody, then we might just make it a blanket rule. Like, hey, if you're a senior, we're all doing it. And if you come back, we'll do it twice. And we'll have fun doing it twice. But at that point, we're just going to make sure it's really about them.
I know we talked a lot about Ty Benefield this year. I feel like he was a kid early on in the season with just getting an opportunity. And now it's just like, I mean, what he did on the field against Utah State was, he's a big-time player already.
100% is.
What did you think of the way he played?
Man, think the world of Ty Benefield, think the world of not only who I believe he can be for us on and off the field, but who he is right now. And as a true freshman, I mean, he is that young man. Outside of the physical attributes he has, he's tall, he's fast, he can run. His work ethic and his attention to detail as a true freshman, I haven't seen in a very long time. And I've related his mentality to a Kakala Kaniho in regards to that mentality as a true freshman where you're never satisfied. I got a sack, yeah, but it could have been faster, right? Oh, I covered that guy, yeah, but I lost my eyes for a second. That's just who he is. He's relentless. He's a relentless competitor that always wants to push the envelope. And so the sky's the limit for him because he's never going to be satisfied. And for a young man, not only has he taken over leadership of that freshman group, he's a guy now the older guys look at and like they trust him. They know the mentality he's going to play with. They know the effort he's going to play with. And even more than that, they know how much work he's put in. And they know he's ready.
The rules, we can't talk to him yet. J.L. Skinner often tweets about him. And I know, like, I mean, J.L. messages me about the kid. I mean, like, do you know if they have, like, kind of a connection, or how cool is it that, you know, you have one of the best to ever do it here supporting a future star?
I know it's funny going through Ty's recruitment last year. Obviously, a big part of what Ty loved to watch was old Agent Zero on the Blue flying around because, you know, similar. You know, big, long, obviously JL's 6'4" and all this, but, you know, similar long safeties, can make a lot of plays, rangy, and he just fell in love with the way JL played. So I know since Ty's been here, they've kind of created a relationship. They're able to meet and connect, and it's cool to see our Broncos that are in the NFL. I mean, they pay attention to this play. This is a brotherhood, right? I mean, the amount of texts I get from guys that I've coached that are here in the NFL, even doing something else in life. they pay attention to the Broncos. And that's what I tell our team. Like, once you leave here, guy, it is not done. It's just God's got something next for you. But the connection that our players have with past Broncos is a huge part of why this place is amazing. It's a family. And so J.L. Skinner with Ty Benefield is just another one to where I'm sure they're going back and forth about games and talking about football, but talking about life, talking about, hey, what's it like to be a freshman? Like, those are the things that are guys that are either seniors or have already left Boise State and are doing great things in life. They're taking time to impact the young kids here because they know what it's like to be a freshman. They know what it's like to be a sophomore.
Kind of the video, on Saturday, the team kind of mobs you get the Gatorade bath, I think. Like, what did personally Saturday kind of mean to you? That was your first opportunity. What did that kind of personally mean to you?
Oh, man, I mean, I was overwhelmed just with our team, with our players, because just knowing these young men, knowing what they've been through, this staff, and seeing what they did. And honestly, what overwhelmed me the most was seeing the joy in them and seeing them put their head down, work their tail off for their brother next to them, and see it go the way it did Saturday. And that doesn't mean it's always going to turn into wins, but seeing that moment, seeing their eyes, seeing them loving on each other, seeing the coaches operate with them, and I was overwhelmed with joy and love for this group because, like I told you guys on Saturday night, this group's got a piece of my heart that I'll never get back. My family, we adore these young men. And so seeing them play the way they did, finish that game, when they had every reason all week long to start to figure out more about what's next and not what's here and now, and they didn't do that. They did it for each other. And so it's just the emotion of talking to the TV and having them mob, it's overwhelming because of how much I love these kids. And in that moment, I was overwhelmed with love and joy because it's all about them. And seeing them that happy was huge.
What did you think of it was Gatorade bath surprising? And do you know the story behind it at all, or where the genesis of it, or anything like that?
I do not know the story. It's funny though. So it's probably maybe a minute before that, Jay. Right, we run the ball, and then they don't call timeout. So we're gonna go to victory, and I peek down the sideline to my right, and I see Eric Shenander, and he's just staring right at me, smiling. Tears start to go in his eyes, and I'm like, "Don't you do it, Chids. I'm not crying right now, man. I gotta hold this thing together." And right when I walk away from him, the Gatorade hits. So no, I don't know where it comes.
Apparently, Jabril Frazier called down.
Did he?
And made sure he communicated that with Ahmed.
I'm sure there was something going on between Jabril and Ahmed, because that's not shocking. Make sure I go Gatorade bath Jabril after this year's sec. No, but it's that kind of stuff. Once again, for this group, like Jabril Frazier, a guy that had the honor of coaching when he played here, and now he's a coach and he's doing a phenomenal job with our edge players. And just that together for me in the moment, all those emotions of seeing these guys that just in my time here, the moments and how much they have my heart, it was overwhelming for me because of that.
A moment to yourself, I saw in the video, you kind of just by yourself. Was it just everything just kind of hitting you and just,
There was that moment there, guys, where I took a knee, and I kid you not, I was like, thank you, Jesus. And I give him all the glory because it's all him. It's all him. It's all our players. And so I wanted to take a moment and not miss that. I just said, thank you, Jesus. Like, I'm so thankful just for the opportunity to be around these kids, to have an impact. And I was overwhelmed, like I said, with joy, love for these kids, and just so thankful.
His name Matt Wagner played quite a bit for you guys on Friday.
Oh, yeah.
And he hasn't played quite a bit up to this point. Obviously, what kind of happened to get him on the field? How do you think he did?
I think Matt did a great job. It's cool to be able to see a young man like Matt who comes in the first 3, 4, 5 weeks of the season primarily on scout team. And so obviously defensively, I'm seeing him every day, and I'm seeing him play extremely well. And I'm seeing the looks that he's given us as a tight end are pretty darn close to the same looks we're going to get on Saturday when we're playing an opponent. And him just and you talk about a guy that's awesome to be around, has a smile on his face, can get out there and talk a little smack too with the defense when he's making a catch, just has a good edge about himself, and just a great teammate. And so seeing that happen over this season to where now he's able to get in the game and play a ton, so fired for Matt. And you talk about a young man that has a bright future, does a great job in the classroom, does a great job in the community. Such a bright future for Matt.
I thought, Jay, was going to take my question, but the other tight end, Matt Lauder.
Oh, yeah.
Just, he's kind of been more and more consistent for you guys as the season's
Yes.
gone along. Just, 2 touchdown catches the last game. When he's really feeling it, how dangerous can this offense be?
Very dangerous. And once again, the awesome thing about Matt is not only is he the pass catcher that we saw and we've seen throughout all season that can make the big catch, make the big run, but you talk about a guy that imposes his will in run blocking, it's all over the place. And Matt Lauder does a phenomenal job with that. And he takes a lot of pride in it too. Because a lot of times, obviously everybody wants to catch the touchdown. Everybody wants to get the ball to score. But Coach Potter's done a phenomenal job with our tight ends to where he's built their mentality to where they're going to have their times to go catch some touchdowns, no doubt. And we're going to capitalize on that. But them imposing their will on a defensive line with that offensive line, I mean, you do that consistently, it's going to be really tough to stop our offense.
Was he the first read on those two touchdown passes, or was Taylor kind of checking down and trying to find who was open?
I can't give that away right now. I mean, come on, no. It was a situation with that where it's a 2 read. We see that look a lot, even defensively, and obviously that's the primary look. And Taylor Green did a great job selling it. The offensive line did a great job protecting and capitalizing. Once again, you're talking about winning as a team. The play right before that, Braxton Feely forced a fumble. We recovered it. Our whole offensive staff did a great job dialing up that play. The very next play, touchdown, and that's how you win as a team.
Looking ahead to Air Force this week defending the triple option. I mean, I remember back in spring ball, you guys were putting your sets together, getting ready for this game right here. How much of a difference does that make that it's a year-round to get ready for this offense?
Yeah, it's obviously a style of offense that you have no way to prepare for if you just did it in a week. There's just too much to it. It's too fast. It's too violent. And so we'll spend time in spring ball, time in summer, time in fall camp, just preparing with the fundamentals and techniques for this game, especially with the young defense that now, to this point, is not young anymore. We're week 12, but there's only a couple guys on this defense that have played against Air Force, and it's obviously very different from the schemes you see consistently throughout the season. So especially on a short week, we wanted to make sure throughout this year we were intentional to build those techniques so that it wasn't a first-time thing starting today at practice. Now, all the while knowing, I mean, that those first couple snaps you play Air Force, I mean, it's one of the fastest things you'll see. I mean, hats off to their offensive staff. Every single year, they're one of the top offenses in the entire country. And not only are they one of the top offenses, they also have one of the top defenses in the entire country, too. So you talk about just a really well-coached team overall. They do a great job on special teams. They're not going to be penalized. They're going to take care of the football. They're going to play great defense. They're going to run the football on offense, and they're going to take their time to take their shots. And that's a really good football team. And like I said, prior to them getting the injury bug and dropping the last couple games, I mean, that's one of the top football teams in the entire country. And so we know the test that's waiting for us Friday afternoon. We know they'll be ready to roll. They're extremely well coached. And we're going to have our hands full, and our guys are excited for the challenge. But we're very aware of what that is.
You guys played 3 quarterbacks in the game the other day. Just curious, when you guys needed him, Taylor had to go out. Colt went in. And then obviously CJ, finished it off. But what's the pecking order there? What's your confidence level in both those guys?
I know Coach Hamdan had a great conversation with all the quarterbacks. Obviously, Taylor Green's our starter. We got full confidence in him. And then CJ with Colt, he was very clear with them. These are kind of the plays that you guys are going to have. These are going to be Colt's plays. If I want to use these, Colt, this is going to be your part of the pie. And then CJ, this is you. So really doing a good job keeping that competition high, especially at the end of the day as a quarterback. You have to continue to be on that razor's edge. And think the world of CJ. And Colt's an older guy that's done a phenomenal job, knows the offense front and back. And so a guy that I know Coach Hamdan trusts as well. So in that moment, it was a situation where Bush knew the exact play he wanted to. That was one of Colt's plays. So, Colt, let's go do this. All the while knowing we're going to work our tail off to make sure CJ got his reps too.
You kind of touched on it a little bit on Saturday night, but what do you think of Taylor's game and just his response? A lot of ups and downs this year, but it looked like he was ready for it.
Yeah. I mean, just so proud of who Taylor is, first and foremost, as a teammate. Because, once again, this season, this whole time hasn't gone exactly the way Taylor wanted it. But he hasn't lost the fact that he's a great teammate. He works his tail off. At practice, he's bringing juice. He's working his tail off with Coach Hamdan, making sure he's growing and developing. And I'm excited for him to finish this. I'm excited for him to be the guy. I'm excited for him to be with this offense, Obviously, he's got a lot of pieces around him. He's got a great offensive line, great tailbacks, tight end. It's not just Taylor, but as a quarterback, you're the leader of that group. They look to you. And him being able to see that, know that, and them have confidence in him, that it doesn't mean it's going to be perfect. And that's what we talked about last week. I told him, you're not going to be perfect, but I want you to be on the attack and know that we have full confidence in you, man. Your teammates have full confidence in you. Go out there and cut it loose. You have 10 good plays in the row. Doesn't matter. It's still the next one. And it was cool to see him do that Saturday. There's still a lot of things that I know him and our offensive staff, Bush, wants him to improve on and grow in. But just so proud of him, no matter what happened this season. He stayed a great teammate, kept showing up, working his tail off, and he's getting better as it goes. And obviously, we're excited to have a big-time game Friday.
A couple of weeks ago when George came back, he said, he was trying out some of his moves to see if he actually still had them in his bag of moves or whatever. And now he's back, but you look at Ashton. Ashton didn't really seem what do you think of the way he played? Because he didn't seem like he missed a beat in terms of coming back from his injury.
Ashton Jeanty, since the time he got hurt against Wyoming, has been relentless in the training room to get back. And honestly, the cool part, like him and George want to be able to do this thing together, and that's the mentality that they have together. And he wants to do it for his teammates, and that's the cool part for Ashton is, once again, with the success Ashton's had, what he's been able to do on the field, who he is as a person. There's a lot of things pulling at Ashton, but he's been able to look his teammates in the eyes and be like, no, we're finishing this thing together. And he's worked his tail off to get back last week, even through practice, looking him through Indy to get team reps, and then being able to go out and do what he did on Saturday. And then no different today at practice, seeing him work his tail off to continue to grow and get back to some of the things he was doing early on the season. That's a testament to who he is. And that's a testament to how much he loves his teammates and how much it's about them.
Anything else? Coach, how cold was that Gatorade bag?
It was chilly. It was a mix between, I want to say, like a raspberry and a lemon lime. So it was an interesting flavor there I was walking around with, dripping in my eyes. So it was something I'll never forget. But I appreciate you guys a lot, man.
Is that how you envisioned your first kind of head coaching, gig going? Your first game as head coach going?
It's funny. A couple of different people have asked me. I really didn't know what to expect. I've been on the field before as an assistant, been in the box, but like being able to be back on the field, be the head coach on the field. There was a lot of emotions even for me. And I told the staff, like, guys, I can promise you this. I'm going to be bringing a lot of juice in the side. Because that's what I wanted to do for our players. I wanted our guys, when they walked on that field, they knew that their coach was behind them, and I wanted them to cut it loose. But I didn't know how that was going to go throughout the game, right? I knew there was going to be a lot of things that even now, having that be the first game I did it, there's a lot of even things for me from looking at game management and things. Okay, I got to make sure I'm clear with this communication. I can be better because just like anything, you're always trying to continue to grow and be your best. But I didn't really have a lot of thoughts on exactly what it would go like. But that's where it was just surreal at the end of the game to be able to have those moments with our players, have those moments with some of our coaches, and just seeing the look in their eye and how excited they were, how happy they were. That's what just touched my heart. Those moments, that's what got me. Seeing the joy in their eyes of what they were able to do. That's what made me so emotional.
I'm guessing your phone blew up after the game. Did you get, was there a cool text you got from somebody, a former coach or somebody in your life?
I mean, even after the game with the text messages and people, I definitely can't say one because it was still overwhelmed about just the amount of love. And once again, not just for me, but when people watched our team. That's the text that really touched my heart. It wasn't congratulations, to you, but it was the guys that texted me. Watching that team got me so excited. That's Boise State football. Seeing them play together, seeing them play fast. Those are the ones that touch my heart. I mean, all the way from, coaches that have been here to players to alumni. I mean, I was overwhelmed with joy because of what they saw their brothers doing, what they saw this family do. That's what really touched my heart after the game.
It's nice to get got the full spread out in front of you. It's the order, grabbing stuff here.
Well, first off, guys, I'm not a big finish one and then move on to the next. I'm almost like I got more smoothie technique, right? Where I want to get a little bit of everything on one bite. So usually what that looks like for me is I'm mashed potatoes, cranberries, turkey, ham. Just making sure I'm not missing anything for you guys. Stuffing. It has to be the right stuffing. I'm really kind of picky on that. So it just depends. And then I'm going to go one big swoop and try and get a little bit of all of that in one bite. on the attack.
What are the Thanksgiving plans for you guys? Are you guys Cathedral of the Rockies? Like what? You guys gonna have a big meal together? What are you guys planning?
Yeah, so we're gonna, with being that it's the day before the game, we're gonna have a quick practice in the morning, and then we're gonna do a Thanksgiving dinner for our players, for our families, to where we're all, coaches' families, our players, gonna all get together, and we'll have a big Thanksgiving dinner. They'll be able to pray, have Pastor Mark Thornton there, and be able to have a meal together. That's the tough part about being the day before a game. But that's our family too, and that's the biggest thing we talked even going through the schedules. At the end of the day, these players are our family too. My wife, our girls will be here, and we're going to hang out with our family and have a Thanksgiving meal. So I'm excited.
All right, thank you all.
Thanks, man.
Appreciate you guys.
Thanks, man.
Thanks, fellas.
So roll or not? Then you mentioned a roll.
With everything that's happened this year, for you guys to still be in the Mountain West title race, just what's the feeling right now?
Yeah, I think it's a testament to this team on the whole. I think certainly the ups, the downs, the resiliency, if you will. I think this is, everything these guys are all about, and we're excited to be in this situation for sure.
Did you ever think it was a possibility with everything that happened? Did you think like, man, is it kind of crazy to think too?
Yeah, I think it kind of is. If you're just being honest with yourself, but. You know how it is within the building. You just kind of keep your head down, and it's 1 week at a time, and working on improvement and what do we got to do to take that next step. And we're certainly fortunate to be in this position.
What do you think of how the offensive line played last week, especially on the interior? It seemed like they opened some pretty huge gaps there.
Yeah, I thought they played pretty well. I think they've been playing really well all year. I mean, this is a offensive line. That's 7th in the nation in rushing, 11th in the nation in sacks given up, and I feel like I'm saying it every week, but the job Tim Keene has done, the job Nate Potter has done, not just this year, but you look at, the 2 or 3 years of recruiting and developing these guys, and I think it's all coming to fruition now. So extremely proud of those guys and what they've accomplished, and we're excited to finish with that group.
The guy who came back this year, he's played 3 positions on the line. What have you seen out of him in terms of leadership out there?
Yeah, I mean, he's one of the cooler dudes on the team. I think everybody knows that about him. You guys know that. He's just extremely mature, a guy that embodies being a Bronco maybe more than anybody else, in this organization. Brings his lunch pail to work every day, if you will. And again, you just can't say enough about guys like Garrett, guys like Ben, Cade, Mason, Roger. I mean, that group has been so consistent for 10, 11 weeks now that my hats go off to him.
He's kind of a quiet guy, but I mean, he's nasty on those blocks. When he and Dooley get on a combo block, they flatten the guy. How important is it to kind of have that nasty streak on the line?
Yeah, it's obviously huge. It's something that this program has prided themselves on for a long, long time. And but it's twofold. You got to play with the kind of emotion that he does, but certainly you got to play with that level-headed, be able to focus when you need to focus, make the right calls at the right times, and control that. And I think his maturity throughout his career has allowed him to play his best ball, if you will, in his last year, and that's what everybody's seeing.
Finally have George and Ashton healthy. Just how awesome was that to see them both finish the game? And, is it almost a case of better late than never for you guys in that regard?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, again, you just got that feeling, that 1-2 punch, those guys being out there and in an interesting way of seeing George creating those explosive runs that he did. I thought that run he made, we're down 10-0, I think, in the second quarter. We hand the mid-zone play off. He goes 70 yards for that touchdown, really sparked our offense. So, again, having both those guys healthy, smiling, ready to go has been a huge boost for our offense.
Kind of been a trying year for George. What's that say about him? And to have a game like that after everything, and he's a senior. I mean, what can you say about him?
Yeah, I think, there's always the games and the years that a lot of these college athletes go through, but I think it's way bigger than that. It's that constant battle with themselves and their injuries and the confidence. and that resiliency that I think will be with them for the rest of their lives. And I think that about George. I mean, here's a guy that I don't know if you can be any more productive than he's been at his time at Boise, but on the same token has had to deal with every year, the ups and downs, the injuries, your body. And so, again, I think it's for the fan base, for what he means to this program is tremendous. But I also think he'll look back at these last 4 or 5 years and realize what he went through to have the production he did, and certainly hold his head high.
What do you see out of Spencer in the way that he acted as a head coach last weekend? He seemed to kind of give his assistants more, maybe some more autonomy or things like that to do what they were hired to do. What did you kind of see out of Spence as an acting head coach last week?
Yeah, I've just been so impressed with him since I've known him. He's kind of one of the guys in the coaching ranks who I know when I took this job, there were people saying, man, I can't wait for you to meet him and be around him. And so I think the unique thing was there wasn't a huge change. It wasn't it wasn't anything that wasn't authentic to who he is. I think it's, he's got a lot of love for these kids, a lot of care for these kids. He understands the human element, if you will. And I thought he did a tremendous job of limiting the distractions, keeping us focused, and obviously it certainly paid off in that game.
Some small changes, though. I mean, players got an extra hour with their family. The seating arrangement was changed on the plane. Those are small things, but how far can small things like that go?
Certainly, a long way, for sure. And I think the timing is everything, and I don't just naturally being late in the year too as well with these guys. Certainly some of the things he's done with practice, to give them and their bodies a break, if you will, I think are important. But, I think the world of him, again, been fortunate to work with him for a year, been fortunate to learn from him, be around him, and it's been a great experience.
What was that moment like to kind of see him get the Gatorade bath and the guys just mob him? Was that pretty special for you to kind of witness, to see him get that moment Saturday?
Yeah, I think so. As the older you get, I say this to these guys all the time, right? Like everybody's always looking at what's next, right? Where are we headed? What are we doing? And I think, I think the older you get, you learn to appreciate, to be where your feet are and to enjoy these moments. And I've said it before, Spencer will be a head coach, whether that's in 6 weeks here somewhere else or in a couple years from now. But I think to have that opportunity to lead a program that he's loved so much and to have that outcome will be something that he cherishes for a long time.
I know Jabril was the one that called down to make the call to say, hey, give him the Gatorade shower. But we haven't heard the story from the booth. Was there discussion up there, or just kind of have that discussion?
I don't know. I don't know if there was total discussion. I know JB's always right next to me, and I laugh because he's like our fifth offensive assistant. He's always so supportive up there. But again, I just think whether it would have happened there, or probably if it didn't happen on the field, it would happen in the locker room. And I'm just extremely excited that he got to experience that.
Let's go back for a second. After the game, George Holani said it was the most fun he's had playing football since 2019 when they won a championship here. Ahmed said it's the most fun he's had in a really long time. What rejuvenated the fun of football do you feel last week? And how was that point made, or how did it come across?
Yeah, I think probably scoring 45 points and rushing for 350 or whatever, it always feels a lot more enjoyable. But I don't know, this group again, I just think there's something about their resiliency. We've had ups and downs this year. You guys know it. It's a testament to the whole team, this whole group. I can't tell you how thankful I am. I know in an offensive coordinator role, you're the one calling it. You're the one in front of maybe the camera, but even just this offensive staff of staying the course to put us in a position that we're in, And so I think for all these guys, their love for one another, the way they play for one another, never too high, never too low, eliminating the outside noise, all those kind of cliche type things about teams have showed up this year with this group and their maturity.
I know you're always looking to develop guys in that room. Now you're left with CJ and probably Colt. Like, how does that development go, and how do you get those guys ready just in case, or whatever that looks like, I guess?
Yeah, the best you can. You're almost looking at guys maybe that have been taking scout team reps all year, or in Colt's situation, a guy who maybe hasn't taken a ton of practice reps. But again, that's a great group. They've supported each other tremendously well throughout the year. So certainly now they're getting more and more practice reps, but really their preparation, those guys have been locked in.
What do you think of Taylor's game on Saturday night, and how meaningful is it that he's going to get the chance to finish out the season?
Yeah, I thought he did a nice job. I think certainly really impressed with the explosive plays he made. I do think there's room for growth there, and he understands it. I think the best part about him is his honest assessment. I think right after that game, he's like, hey, I gotta make some more plays right there. And so, again, he is everything you want from a person standpoint. He is continuing to grow his consistency at the quarterback position, and I just feel like, there's a fire lit in him to finish this season the right way, and I think with everything he's been through, it speaks volumes about who he is as a person.
We talked a little bit about Matt Lauder this year, and it seems like every time we do, the run blocking is the first thing that comes back. But past few games he's become a really consistent pass target for you. Just how complete of a tight end has he become as the year's gone along?
Yeah, I think really complete, and I totally agree with you. I think certainly in the last 2-3 weeks, he's one of those guys now, whether it's due to situations and injuries or just us realizing, man, this guy, every time he's targeted, has made tough plays. And I think that's the biggest thing about him is that they're tough plays that he's making in the pass game. It's not necessarily he's wide open, but his ability to make those plays, make the first guy miss, get extra yak yards has been tremendous. He's an extremely reliable player, and certainly one of the guys we really, really look to getting the ball to.
It didn't seem like it took Ashton too long to shake off the rust. What did you see out of him?
Yeah, just super cool to get him back. And, he had the knee brace on, and so you just never know. We kind of talk about that a lot, Jay, where in some ways it's like, hey, a guy's back, but okay, there's still 3 weeks of not practicing and so on and so forth. So awesome to see him get back to, his usual self, because at times it feels like a video game out there when you're just watching him bounce off defenders. And again, we're looking forward to these next couple weeks.
I know what happens this weekend. I mean, it could come down to the computer rankings. Are you thinking about maybe getting some style points, like maybe trying to win by, a couple more touchdowns? Is that going through your mind at all?
Not even kind of. I think just the way this whole year has gone, I think about midway through that third quarter, we were in 4-minute mode, and we were just kind of taking time off the clock just because not one thing or another, not one side of the ball or another, but there's been some wild things that have happened to us. And so whatever it takes to win these games is certainly our main focus.
I was joking around with George after the game on that 75-yard touchdown run. What was kind of going through your head there? Did he have enough in the tank, or like what? He broke through. I mean, that was the parting of the sea there, if you will. So what was kind of going through your mind?
Yeah, just again, sometimes maybe it's a play call that sparks an offense, or we needed something in that moment, and I really think George sparked us there, and it was an outstanding job from the offensive line. It was not, it was a base DNA run call that we've probably been running since fall camp, and the ability for him to make that play, but even the blocking downfield, if you watch that play, Austin Bolt continuing to finish in the end zone, and you guys know how it is. I mean, sometimes even those kind of plays, if a tackle's made on the 8-yard line, don't always result in a touchdown. And so to finish that play when he did, to come back that very next drive, defense getting us the ball back and score, I just think that was a huge lift up, if you will, for our entire offense and team.
Senior night on Friday, Riley Smith, he's a guy I would assume is going to take part, but he's a guy that's not going to catch 50 passes a year. But I mean, what has he meant to this offense? What is his experience and his leadership meant to this offense?
Yeah, I think, look, I think it's easy for guys that are off the charts productive to be awesome leaders, right? Things are working out for them exactly how they planned it. The energy's always good, but I always look at, who's the glue of the team, who's the nucleus of the team, if you will. And to be a guy like Riley, we talk about George, who's certainly put in the work, done everything the right way, but had to deal with the ups and downs, injuries, and throughout his career. And for him to come every day into this building, lead by example, I just think when you got guys like that who maybe haven't had as much success as they would have liked, but they carry themselves that way, those are the guys that kind of can move the room, if you will, and I'm really proud of everything he's done.
We don't know what's beyond this week, in all honesty. How do you just kind of approach the next 6 days until game day gets here, and I know you really love this place, so just how do you kind of go to the day-to-day? What's on your mind?
Yeah, I think that's probably growth and maturity in this profession, I think, of this one day at a time focus, because again, even I would even say through New Mexico, preparing for that game, there was certainly a lot of distractions for us in general, but I think we're taking one day at a time. And I know we've, certainly offensively, we feel, it's been 9 straight weeks of 30 points, and that's something we've kind of hung our hat on, and keeping that streak alive. And again, it's a testament to these players, it's a testament to these coaches. We want to finish this thing the right way. We do. And so we've got this great opportunity, and all the focus is there, and then we'll see how things shake out after that.
I know that, you look at your stories here, whether it be as a player or as a coach, and it doesn't seem like it's always like kind of, in all honesty, worked out for you. You know what I mean? Like you don't get the starting job as a senior, and here you're averaging over 30 points per game. You're top 30 in the country in scoring, and you don't know your future. How do you, I guess simplest way to put it, why do you love this place so much? Why does it still mean so much to you, and how much growth has it given you throughout your life?
Yeah, I think, certainly the people of Boise, I mean, it's second to none, just the relationships I have here. But yeah, maybe there's certain places in your life that just don't always bounce out exactly how you want it to, but there's a reason for that too. And I think, just again, the growth, I mean that in a lot of ways of this year and this team and what we've been able to accomplish with the amount of moving parts, if you will, has been a huge development, and something that I'll be proud of, and the staff will be proud of.
Feeling walking off of Fresno, and for all intents and purposes, that was going to be it. But here you guys are. I mean, does that just say a lot that they kept the belief, after that game?
Yeah, I think so. I do. I mean, I think it's a testament to this conference. I mean, you look at these games week in and week out, and it's again, it's a lot different than maybe when I played here. There's not a whole lot of sure fits, if you will, of this team's going to beat this team. The question is just by how much. Week in and week out, you go look at what Wyoming did last week, having a big game, I believe, against Hawaii, and the week before Hawaii goes and knocks somebody else off. So I just think, this conference continues to just show what it's all about. And again, I think that's the brand of football we're playing.
Anything else? All right. Thank you all.
All right, thanks, Coach.
Yes, Coach.